Hi, welcome to the PDF Accessibility from Adobe to Equidox workshop. My name is Jason Rodenbeck. I'm the Assistant Director for Academic Web Accessibility at Kennesaw State. I work in a department called Digital Learning Innovations, and we support faculty and staff in all digital learning aspects. My email is here, jrodenb1 at kennesaw.edu. You can also visit the accessibility site at Kennesaw State and the Digital Learning Innovations website as well. The reason I'm bringing you this workshop, the reason I proposed it is we have been part of a major initiative at Kennesaw State that was begun in fall 2021. The goal is to review all online and hybrid courses for Quality Matters and for accessibility. In USG, University System of Georgia, accessibility is a major focus, and so we want to be ahead of all that. And also, Kennesaw State, we believe accessibility is the right thing to do. And so a primary requirement of these course reviews has been accessibility. One of the things we knew we were going to run into was PDFs. We use Anthology Ally. It's integrated into D2L, and you can see here an Anthology Ally report of a PDF. We use a lot of PDFs, and you can see this one's untagged. If you're not familiar with Ally, Ally gives all files an accessibility score based on the presence or absence of certain accessibility issues. As you can see, this is just some data from our spring 2022 semester. When it came to all the different types of documents in our LMS in D2L, we had 49,000 Word documents, around 52,000 HTML pages, around 41,000 presentations, whether that be PowerPoint, etc., and just 28,000 or so other files, other types of document files. Overall, though, the great majority of documents are PDFs, and there was 90,319 PDFs. And there's, on average, that ended up being roughly 14 PDF documents per course in that semester. One of the first questions we asked was why, and it has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of older resources are only available in PDFs. So this happens a lot when we find a faculty member has looked up a journal article on one of the library indexes and posted that to the website. A lot of times those are just scanned resources. A lot of faculty are using scanned documents that somebody else had in their course from 2 or 3 instructors ago, but it's still a good resource and they're using it. And of course, a lot of folks like to convert documents to PDF for security. They like PDF because it's hard to edit. They know that the students probably don't have Adobe Acrobat Pro, so they like it for that reason. For all of these reasons, though, PDF is not a type of file format that is designed for easy editing. You can do editing, but when it comes to accessibility and to tagging a PDF, there is no magic button built into Adobe that makes it easy to add things like heading structures or other types of accessibility features. In fact, it can take a very long time. And we knew that because there were so many PDFs in our courses, and a lot of those are untagged, that what we're going to end up seeing is this kind of report. So our first solution to this, because we work with, and we're a team of about 12, and we work with faculty throughout the university. Our first solution was to, first of all, learn how to do accessibility in PDFs using Adobe. And so we studied and worked and discovered that we could figure out how to tag PDFs and OCR PDFs where they were just scans. And so we conducted webinars throughout 2022, awarded 106 badges just for participating in PDF webinars. And we focused on showing folks how they could go about using Adobe Acrobat Pro to remediate those documents. From those, we developed a web resource. I'm actually going to show it to you in a minute. That breaks the process of making PDF accessible using Adobe, breaks it down into sort of these steps, and usually 4 to 8 minute videos, and each video has a practice document so you can sort of work along with the video. That said, we discovered that even with that resource, it's still a very long and arduous process. And the difficulty and the time-consuming nature of working with PDF accessibility in Adobe Acrobat Pro was just a barrier, especially to faculty who were not as tech savvy. I'll go ahead and pull out of this and go ahead and show you that resource. And what you can see we did is broke down working with Adobe Acrobat Pro into several different steps. And the link to this resource, it is still valuable, even though we have a tool that we use that I recommend all people use rather than doing things this way. But it is still a valuable resource. That's why we leave it published. To tag a list, you could see when we open up that page, we've got this 7-minute video that shows how to tag lists. I'm actually going to embed that in this video, and I'm also going to record myself tagging a list with just with Equidox. But here you can watch the video, download a sample PDF, and then how to go about contacting us to get more help. What ended up happening though is we discovered a tool called Equidox, and Equidox is an easy-to-use PDF accessibility remediation tool. It is available to all users at Kennesaw State. So our license allows faculty, staff, and students to use it, and it basically takes the process of making a PDF accessible and makes it accessible. So when you upload a document into Equidox, it changes that document into a different file format. It has an interface that allows you to easily OCR documents that are scanned. It also easily allows you to tag sections of the document or sections of a page according to headings, lists, tables, etc. So what I'll do first is I'm actually going to show you this 7-minute video on what it takes to just tag a list using Adobe Acrobat, and I'm also going to take a simple document and go through and tag an entire page with different types of content. So hopefully you find this helpful and enjoy the rest of the video.
This is the 5th video of the PDF Accessibility Solutions series, and I'm zoomed in a little bit more because this is going to be a little bit more detailed. What I'm going to show you is how you can take a list. In this case, this list is formatted as paragraph. So you can see I'm clicking these P's here. These are paragraph tags. And this list is tagged as a paragraph. Now, that will read to the student, but it isn't something they can tab through. It just reads as regular text. So that's actually not formatted correctly as a list. So what I'm going to do is open up the same tool I've been using. I don't have the accessibility tab visible on the screen at the moment, but I'm going to open up the accessibility tool and the reading order tool. And as you see, as I've got that open, it's put these items in gray. So there are several things that need to happen. First, I actually need to have tags, empty tags that go underneath this this paragraph here. So I'll move my reading order tab out of the way, and I'm going to add a new tag, and you can see it opens up over here. It's still being captured in my screen, and this needs to be a list. This is a list, okay? So you can see this tag shows up here. It's a little L and it's empty. It doesn't have the little caret next to it. And because there are 5 items here, I need to make sure that there are 5 list items. So I'm going to click that tag. I'm going to right click and add a new tag underneath it, and that's going to be a list item. And I need to do that 4 more times. All right, so I should have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do it one more time. And there are 5 list item tags. Now, actually, I want these to be seated so they're inside this list tag so that they're seated as children. So I'm going to do a command click or a control click, depending on if you're using a Windows or Mac machine. And I'm going to right click and cut, and then click on that L tag, and I'm going to paste child. So now those 4 list items, or 5 list items, show up underneath that list. Now, we're not done, so it may seem already that that was pretty hairy, but we actually still need to find a way to make this information fit in all these little list items, and that's where the reading order tool is going to come back in. When you first see this, you may think this is a little overwhelming, but after you've done it a couple of times, it's not too bad. So I'm going to actually choose this number 1, and I need to tag it separately from the word list. Now, as I click text paragraph, you'll notice that there's a new P label, a new paragraph label that's going to show up there. And what it did was it closed my list, and now there's 2 labels there. So now what I'm going to do is highlight each one of these numbers, give it its own paragraph tag, and sometimes again you got to make that a big box around the item. And with each one, my list of tags grows. And now you can see as I go down, each item in this little list, whether it's the number or the word, and if you had a whole sentence there, you'd want to do the whole sentence, then that becomes it becomes its own tag. Now, you would need to do this whether you were using bullets or numbers. So if you've got this bulleted, then you would need to do the same process. Now, we're not done. So what I need to do is change these from paragraph to labels and list body. So the easiest way to do this, I'm going to command click or control click on just those numbers, and you can see that you've got the right thing because it's highlighted as you go. And I'm going to go down here to properties, and I want to change this from paragraph to label. Okay, so now you can see those tags change to label. And similarly, I want to take all of the actual body items there, and I'm going to right click and open properties, and these become list item body. All right, so Now I can go down and label one list body list. There you go. Now what I need to do is all those items need to be seated underneath these list item labels. So I'm going to control click or command click these first two, and that's the first list item, and I'm going to say cut, and I'm going to click on the first list item label and paste child underneath that. So now when I click on that list item, after I've got all these moved where they need to go, I'll be clicking on each list item. Same with this. This is the second list item. I'm going to cut, go to the second list item label, and paste as a child underneath there. Same with the third. Cut, paste as a child underneath there. Cut, paste as a child underneath there. And the last list item, I'll cut and paste as a child underneath there. So now my whole list is encapsulated in this list label, and as I go through, if I click on a list item tag, it highlights that list item. So this is what a list should look like, and then when I click on that label, it's just that piece. So that is going to read properly to a student using a screen reader, and they can navigate through that list using their tab key or their arrow key, however their screen reader works. That is what a proper list looks like.
So you can see here that I am in Equidox. Equidox is a cloud-based software, at least the version of it that we use is. And I'm an admin, so I can see lots of different folks' documents, but it is actually pretty simple. I won't show you everything in Equidox. I'll just show you how to upload a document and begin working in it. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the sample document that I tend to use in a lot of my webinars. It's based on Bob Ross. I just use something with some sample text and sample images and sample tables and so forth. So the first thing it does is it checks your document to make sure that it's going to be able to work with it, and then it processes it into a different format so that I can then begin tagging it. And one of the first things that you get is you can begin to change things like title, set the language, etc., and it can work with lots of different languages. So you can set the language for the whole document, and then you can go in and set languages for different sections. So if you have a document with multiple languages in it, which is going to happen a lot with foreign language courses, then you can do that. I'm just going to change the title here and just call this sample Bob Ross text document. And I'm going to click save. I can also, it locates all the images, and I can decide whether I want to hide those, if I want to go ahead and add alt text or add a long description to those as well, or I can do that as I go through the document. What it does is it actually begins by sort of uses artificial intelligence to try to locate zones, and there's a sensitivity slider, so I can tell it what sensitivity I want it to be at, and for this page that's exactly it. And then I can do things like go ahead and set things, set certain zones as page as page artifacts that I don't necessarily want read. In this case, all I have to do is tell it to ignore. I have all kinds of tools that I can use to tag these with. This first one I'm going to call an H1, a heading 1, so I can change it from text to heading, and change the level H1 here, or I can just use my my keyboard H2, and this one is now an H2. on this page, even though I've just got several levels of text headings here, so I'm just going to do that. But then you can see I've run into my first list, and from the first video, it took several minutes to tag that list. What I'm actually going to do is go to the preview. I want you to see what that list will read like right now. It's just going to read as if it is. It's going to read as if it is just text. I want it to be navigable like a list. I want it to be tagged like a list. So the first thing I'm going to do is just type an L, and right now that has tagged it as a list. However, I still need to do a little bit of work. I'm going to slide my sensitivity slider and maybe fiddle just a little bit with these lines in case they overlap that text. And so now it sees that there's 5 list items. It is an ordered list. And let's preview that. And so that's closer to what we want to see. Now I can fiddle with it some more to make sure that I don't have those extra numbers there. But for the most part, we're done. So it really is that easy to tag a list, to tag headings. As I go, I haven't actually finished with this page. As I go, I can just sort of move forward like this. I can save it. I can mark the page as validated. I probably would want to go back here and just make sure that the reading order is set properly. And I can move forward. So let's say yes, I'm done with that one. Let's jump to a table. A table is another one of those pieces that can be very difficult to tag. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and create a zone here. I'm going to tag that as a table, and I'll go ahead and give it a summary. In this case, I'm just going to say there's 4 columns, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. And if I need to go in and actually tag the table, I click the table editor. And the same way I did before, I can use the AI, just tell it to tweak the AI. I've got, you can see now 4 columns. And let's see. Okay, now it's sort of found out all my rows, and I can preview that. And right now it's showing that I've got this first column is set as a heading, and this top row is set as a heading. And typically, you might want it to be set that way. I actually don't want it. I want no row headers here. So I'm going to 0 row headers. And then I can do more with this. I can nudge all of these lines up. I can nudge them all left a little bit if I want to. Or I can merge fields, etc. So if I run back to preview, that's closer to the way I want it set. And now I have tagged that table. Now, depending on the quality of your PDF, it may take a little bit longer, but for the most part, this has saved us just tons and tons of time. And I won't go to all the trouble to show you everything it can do. I'll let you explore that on your own. I've added links to Equidox's resources, their videos, etc. So I will show you that some of the statistics we've had. If I jump back out here, I can show you we've not been quite using it for a whole year. We had a brief test period here, and then we finally were able to make the purchase in October. As you can see, we've modified around 27,000 pages. That's only 1,065 actual documents that we've then exported. We have around 300 users that are actively using it. I'm not getting paid anything by Equidox, but I have been very pleased. I say that so you know that this isn't a paid advertisement, but it has been really helpful for us, and I definitely recommend looking into it, or there are a couple other options out there as well. This one has worked really well for us. Hopefully that's been helpful and kind of showed you a little bit of what's out there. Let you know that there is hope if you're worried about PDF accessibility in the LMS. If you have any questions, please email me jrodenb1@kennesaw.edu.